Welcome to Lesson 1 in Unit 1, Life in the Rainforest. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, how do we know if something is living? Students begin the unit by learning about the rainforest through a read-aloud, a card sort, and a look around their school. Students figure out that all living things need food, water, air, and space to grow. The rainforest is home to both living and non-living things. Students are introduced to the phenomenon and begin to figure out what lives in a rainforest. There are several opportunities for ELA, math, and social studies cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 1 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 5 to 6 days to complete. You'll begin the Lesson 1 Engage by introducing the anchoring phenomenon for the unit. You'll show students the poster of the rainforest from the MySci kit and ask students questions about what they see. You can post and discuss the rainforest vocabulary card. Be sure to see the noted opportunity to attend to equity, should the provided anchoring phenomenon not be compelling for your students. Students will find the anchoring phenomenon more compelling if they can connect to it personally. If you want to change the phenomenon for your context, keep the following questions in mind. Is it going to be relevant to my students' lives and/or particularly engaging to them? Is it going to motivate students to want to explain the needs of plants and animals, how plants and animals get what they need from the environment, how plants and animals change the environment, and how we can reduce our impact on the land? You'll then ask students what they know about the rainforest and then read over and under the rainforest. Be sure to use the Read Aloud Guide for questions and key points through the reading. You'll then allow students to turn and talk to discuss their observations from the reading. As students are sharing their observations and questions, you'll provide them with the sentence stem, "Now I'm wondering about," to model how we can use observations to develop questions. Once students have their questions, you will guide them in creating categories for their questions on the driving question board using the steps provided in the teacher guide. Do not answer questions at this time or correct student thinking. They will explore their questions and explain this phenomenon throughout the unit. Here are examples of driving question boards from other K-5 units. They depict the students' questions in categories, some along with a drawn model from the unit. Some driving question boards are simple lists of questions or groups of sticky notes posted on chart paper. Teachers and students can manipulate and move around questions and label categories together. For the Explore portion, you'll tell students that they're going to do some more investigating to figure out how to tell if something is living or not living. You'll put them into groups and give each one a set of living and non-living cards. Students will first sort the cards any way they choose. They'll then sort them into living and non-living categories. For the Explain portion, you'll invite students to gather in a circle to share their findings about how they sorted the cards into living and non-living things. You'll use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, how do we know if something is living? The goal of this class discussion is to analyze student data and figure out what makes something living versus non-living. Use the discussion to create the Lesson 1 summary chart. From the discussion, students should understand that the kapok tree and the spider monkey are living. The Amazon River is not living. During the discussion, you'll post the pattern vocabulary card. You'll also read What's Alive? Use the Read Aloud Guide for questions to ask students while reading. You'll also post and discuss the Grow, Living, and Non-Living vocabulary cards. For the Elaborate portion, you'll provide students with the Living Things Scavenger Hunt student journal pages. You'll take students outside, if the weather permits, to hunt for living and non-living things around the schoolyard. You'll then bring students back inside and debrief. For the Evaluate portion, you'll have students complete the Is It Living student journal page. To support student sense-making across the unit, orient them back to the driving question board. Ask, what did we learn about how we know if something is living? And what new questions do we have? By the end of this lesson, students will have used observations to describe patterns between living and non-living things. In Lesson 2, students will investigate what plants need to grow and survive. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.